Hi guys, Fernandes Lembo on the grid. John, you were at a professional baseball game yesterday. I was at one today. So let's just segue right into baseball. Let's keep it at the high school level. Sarasota Baseball Classic.
Sure.
Championship game today. The third place game is going on as we speak right now. Once again, local teams not in the title game. I was at the game yesterday where Sarasota lost to Fort Myers Canterbury. Lakewood Ranch loses to Miami Westminster. You said before we went on the air, I mean, these games, when a team gets a hot pitcher,
right,
especially facing a team they haven't faced before, things can happen.
Yeah, and like I said too, but you said your game last night, Sarasota had 13 ground ball outs.
Out of the 21 outs.
That's the mark of a good team in high school.
Right.
So I've seen some high school teams that can't field ground balls, so 13 ground balls means a lot of outs, a lot of errors, I should say.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a good tournament. I remember Sarasota, I think they lost like 2 or 3 games in this last season, and they wind up playing for a state championship. So, you know, I mean, I think it's a good barometer for these teams, a good test for these teams. You play some great talent, and, you know, obviously you want to win, but if you can get yourself better for districts and coming up, I think that's the whole point of this tournament.
Yes, Clyde Metcalf told me after the game, the pitcher they faced yesterday, Tyler Shuck, they knew he was good going in, hadn't faced him, gave up 2 hits, 2 unearned runs.
Right.
So like you said, when you face that ace for the first time, you don't know what they throw.
Right.
That can happen. The Sailors have been scoring a bunch of runs
and
lately.
13 ground ball outs, I mean, you know, one of those things, the ball bounces a certain way. That's the beauty about baseball. You know, today's ground out is a 2-run single tomorrow, and obviously they don't play shifts in high school. At least I haven't seen these shifts. But, you know, a lot of times you might hit the ball on a bullet right at someone, and then a bloop falls in. That's the beauty of that game. That's why I'm such a huge baseball fan, because, you know, so much can happen on different days. And one of the big games this week, Lakewood Ranch beating Venice, 3-1. Colton Zimmering, a great game for him. And that's baseball too. I mean, if your ace is hot that day, that's one of the few things. It's one of the few sports where the key player changes every game. You don't change quarterbacks every game in football, but you change pitchers. And if your guy is hot, you can beat anyone on a certain day, and that's what makes baseball so unpredictable.
That's what makes baseball great. Other sports is more of the team concept. You can have a hot quarterback in football, but he better getting blocking time, receivers, et cetera, et cetera.
And it's just like the offensive side. You can pitch around the other team's best hitter.
Right.
But, you know, unless you tackle Michael Jordan, he's going to get the ball. You know, old school Bulls reference there. But, you know, so. You know, that's the beauty of baseball. There's so much that's in your hands and not in your hands, and that's why it's a great game.
Let's go to the FHSAA a little bit.
Yeah.
We talked about it last week, the school choice bill.
Right.
$5,000 for recruiting violation. With the rules they are now sort of lessened, would you expect fewer recruiting violations now because the rules have been lessened and laxed?
You'd figure, or maybe because there is that where you can change school so easily, maybe there might be more recruiting because you can add immediacy. But yeah, it's a $5. It's actually a forfeiture of pay. Right. So yeah, but that's the first offense. Second offense is that plus a suspension of you can't extracurricular activities. Right. And the last one, if you get caught for third time, it's the pay.
You lose your head. They chop off your head.
Close. you lose your teaching certificate, which might be the same thing. Right. So they're cracking down pretty hard. I think, you know. Is it really worth $5,000 and perhaps your livelihood?
No. But there are ways of getting around anything. Let's say you're a head coach, and let's say you do want to recruit, and you don't want to get caught. How do you go about doing it? Let's give a primer on recruiting here.
All the time I've recruited.
I mean, so we're talking about employees.
Take out your pens
can you
and
get
pencils.
somebody else to maybe act as the liaison?
That to me is why it's so hard. I mean, let's just say, for example, there's 2 dads at a gas station, and one of them says, hey, your son's a running back. We need one for next year. Right. That can be classified as recruiting. Sure. But how do you prove that? You know, how do you prove why? So, and then if the kid does move, why'd you move? Well, my dad got a new job, or well, I wanted to move. That's why it's so hard to prove, because it's not black and white unless there's a paper trail or a text trail, or maybe a kid who's recruited is upset that he wasn't playing enough and his parents decide to talk. That's really the only way these things that's why it's so hard to catch people who are doing this, because there rarely is there clear-cut, tangible evidence.
I mean, the FHSA can say we're going to fine a school employee for doing this, but it just seems like you said, there are other ways of getting around this rule.
Of course, well, as you said, there are loopholes for anything, and you hope no one exploits them, but there are. And like I said, it's so hard to catch people because, like I said, there's no, you know, it's kind of like going back to Major League Baseball. Did the Cubs tamper with Joe Madden with the Rays? Unless you find an email or a text from Theo Epstein saying, hey, why don't you ditch those guys and come back? You know, how do you prove that? How do you prove coercion? How do you prove why somebody did something?
And you mentioned two dads talking at a gas station or talking anywhere.
Yeah.
To me, that's how it would go down.
Right.
If a kid was to switch schools, it would go down that way.
Yes.
as opposed to doing it the other way.
Right.
District tennis coming up.
The Fern way.
The Fern way.
Yes.
We got district tennis coming up.
Yep.
4A, 3A, 2A, 1A. The 4A, which is Manatee, Northport, Riverview, Sarasota, Lakewood Ranch, March 29th, 30 at Bath and Racket.
Yeah.
Will you be out covering any of this?
I'm sure I will be. I'm doing a story for Tuesday on Antoine Sanchez. He's Riverview's #1 singles player. He's a pretty cool story. He was when he was young, he was a big-time soccer player. Loved soccer. Then he kind of, things kind of fell in love with the sport a little bit. Now he's embraced tennis. He's ranked in the top 5 for his age group in the state. I think he's ranked in the top 40 nationally in the USTA. Undefeated this year at #1. He's gotten offers from some Big Ten schools, and he's only schools up north. And he's only a junior, so he could be a favorite to in the districts, because in the districts, if you win #1 singles, #1 doubles, you go to state automatically. And if your team wins, your team moves on.
Yeah. It's almost like wrestling.
In a sense, yeah. You can be a great singles player and your team not be so great. And also, too, he and Finn Anderson, #1 doubles, are a good team, too. So this could be a pretty long, good route for Antoine Sanchez. That's already being next Tuesday's paper. Kind of a preview for the district tournament.
You ever played tennis before? Have you ever played a racket sport? You ever tried anything like that?
Racquetball, I tried.
Really?
My dad played a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I play a lot of racquetball. So it's the way those balls bounce off the walls.
It's tough, yeah.
It is tough.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not your racket. Boy, is that awful. We got to mention the Sarasota Manatee Boys and Girls All-Star Hoop Games, benefiting the Kyle Jutras Scholarship Foundation.
Good to see those back. Yes.
Right. 42 players from 12 high schools comprising 4 teams.
Right.
Just a little bit about that. I did a story back a few months ago talking to Rob Jutras, how when he talked to Kyle before he passed, how he wanted to have more than just the Jutras preseason classic.
Right.
Now they have these 4 or 5 events. The goal is to raise $25,000 a year for college scholarships. So if you're not doing anything in the area March 26, go to it, right?
Yeah, I mean, good basketball, and it's cool. It'll be a lot of these kids. Is it just for seniors? I don't think it's just for seniors, right?
No, I think, good question. I checked out the roster. It's pretty impressive. BJ Ivy is coaching the Sarasota boys team, and et cetera.
Definitely should be fun to see these kids, one last time this season.
Right.
A chance for some of these seniors to be teammates one last time. Scott Townsend, he's the BCS boys coach. He tweeted out what we wrote about, last chance to see some of these kids play. I kind of I miss the All-Star games. We used to have the Powell Bowl here every year. That kind of went away.
Right.
The Manatee Sarasota football game. So it's kind of cool seeing these kids who are adversaries all year kind of join forces. And as you mentioned, for a dynamite cause, Rob Jutras, I've got to know him a little bit. He's a great coach, great to work with, and definitely a great cause for his family.
And he's trying to raise $25,000 for scholarships, so a lot of deserving seniors will be seeing some of that money at the end of the school year. Just a couple of things. Dennis Maffezoli, one of our ace htpreps guys, along with yourself. Charlotte High wins the 2A14 district weightlifting title.
For boys,
For Riverview comes in second by about 20 points, so they'll both be moving on. Athlete of the week. We always talk about the athlete of the week. Courtney Lynn, Sarasota High School softball, went 6 for 7 in 2 Sailor wins. I played Little League ball. I don't think I had 6 hits my entire year. The only time I played.
Well, when you get in the groove, you get in the groove.
You do, and she's
in the groove.
She got 415 out of possible 690 votes, so they were really moving there.
There you go.
And
well deserved.
What else we got going on? We got a minute 40.
Next week, obviously, we have a lot of district tennis. Also, it started this week, actually, in Charlotte.
Right.
We had some district tennis start. And then, and then that gets the postseason rolling. And as I said last week, April 25th, for you football fans, first allowable day of non-contact practice. You're allowed 20 practices each spring. So if you have an early game in May or a game in mid-May, you can start practicing in April. So April 25th, we can have football here.
And I can't tell how many people have come up to me and say, when does football start?
Right.
And I tell them we'll wait for spring practice.
And April 25th is if your team's playing earlier in May, you can go out to your field and see some non-contact practice.
Non-contact what? Is that basically like 7-on-7? Is that basically what it is?
No, it's not. Well, not really. It's just non-contact.
So it's 11-on-11.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So we got that coming up.
Right.
We got district tennis coming up. We got the end of spring training coming up.
A lot of good stuff.
So a lot of stuff to talk about. So we'll be back next week to talk all about that and more. So for John Lembo, I'm Doug Fernandez. We'll see you next week on The Grid.